that is the Coyote Jack Capote, an authentic Western Montana item that I got at the Mountain Man Festival just before this photo. That was apropos. Thank you again to everyone for being here. Like everyone else said, it's so great to see all your smiling faces. This is exactly the kind of shindig that Pat would have truly enjoyed. It's obviously incredibly difficult to summarize someone's life in a few short words, especially a parent. But as you've heard here today, there's definitely some clear themes that emerge when you start to tell stories about our mom. In a nutshell, she was all in on whatever was in front of her. She wasn't just the type of parent that would invite your friends over to play yard games. She would be the first one with her black sweatsuit on, checking the batteries of the flashlight to play flashlight tag. She took on all the hobbies and friends that came with them for Jen and I, and truly devoted her life to us, and for that I'll forever be thankful. One of these new hobbies that became a lifelong passion for her, like we mentioned, was golf. The Haug family taught us all how to play at Gem Lake. And though my mom wasn't much of a sports person growing up, she dove in head first and played with us. And it was during a round of golf one time that I also discovered another of her defining traits, and that is that she was a physically tough woman. Now, normally you wouldn't think of golf as a game that would prove your physical toughness, but when you share a cart with two 12-year-old boys and you let one of them drive, it's the most dangerous game on earth. One day my mom took Drake Larson and I to River Falls Golf Club, and what she did not know was that Drake and I knew how to disengage the governor on the cart, meaning it could go literally 35 miles an hour. I distinctly remember after a few holes, she turned and said, "This cart has some real juice." And around hole 14, we were flying down the fairway, and I spotted a large bump, and of course my first thought was airtime. We hit the bump, we launched into the air, and when we landed, it was just Drake and I in the cart. Mom got ejected. We turned and looked back as she finished barrel rolling down the fairway, and I was certain she wasn't getting up. Instead, she popped up immediately and began storming right toward the cart. Now, instantly, my concern for her well-being changed abruptly to terror. She did not say a word. She just unstrapped her golf bag, went and hit her next shot, and finished the round on foot. That's a true story. There was no quit in her. And that brings me to another one of her defining traits, and that is the fact that she wore her heart on her sleeve and her face, really. I mean, you knew what she was feeling by looking at her. Most of the time, big smiles and even bigger laughs, but God help you if you ever pissed her off. You could read her face clearly in any situation, and unfortunately, this was another thing we all learned the hard way. If you don't know our family well, you got a bit of a flavor today, but we are truly one big open book, and there's really no topics we stay away from when we get together, especially around Christmas and the holidays. And this family was founded by my grandpa that you saw, Limerick Dick. That's a family trait, I meant to say, that kind of was brought in by him, and we've lived it ever since. So he was a professor of dairy or animal husbandry at the University of Minnesota. And over several years, several decades, he gathered what I assume is the world's largest collection of animal penises. His students would stretch and tan them, and he would use them as pointers in his lessons. And so naturally, as a youngster, I was fascinated by this phenomenon. And one Christmas in particular, Nancy gave him a walrus specimen. Carvings in it, yeah, it was just phenomenal. So fast forward a week, this is me in 8th grade, and that was the week before. I'm back at school, and I'm sitting in Miss Mayer's English class during what she called, staring at a blank notebook during what she called creative writing time. So I wrote about penises. All the shapes and sizes of various species, chronicled the entire collection, and who do you think the teacher called on to share their creative piece? That was me. As I walked up, I considered making something up on the fly, but it was too late, so I went for it. I made it about 2/3 of the way through the article before the teacher hauled me down to the office, literally by my ear. And if you recall from what Jenna mentioned, our mom worked at the school. She worked there so she could be there for us in the summers and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure she did not have this situation in mind when she made that decision. So Miss Mayer hauls me straight to my mom, and I swear I saw every possible human emotion come across her face in a span of about 5 seconds. First she was shocked, then it was red-faced anger, a little embarrassment, but as Miss Mayer explained what I had done, she literally started shaking and had to bite her bottom lip to stop from laughing. And I think I even saw a little bit of prideful glance in there for a second. So there are dozens of other stories like this that we could continue to share today, as Jenna mentioned, in contemplating how to take something good out of this ordeal. What really hit me was how close our family has become throughout the disease progression. We set up a weekly phone call initially to share updates and diagnosis, but we just kept it eventually to catch up on all things in general. And I truly think that would bring the biggest smile of all to my mom's face. So, thank you again.